Hello, all you lovely people of YouTube. This is Rip4. Welcome back to another episode of Rip's Talk Show. I, of course, am Rip. I am here, joined again like I was last week. Collin. How you doing, Collin?
Going good.
Das is good. Now, I do want to preface this episode by saying there's going to be a lot of spoiler talk today. You might be saying, Rip, Collin, what do you mean by spoiler talk? Well, as we mentioned on last week's episode, that Fallout TV show is coming out. Well, it came out the day that the episode came out, and since recording that, Collin and I have seen the entire show. Not together, I watched it with my family.
Yeah, and I had to make time for it with my schedule.
But, like I said, we both watched it. And, well, it was spectacular. I will say, the background footage that you'll be seeing for this episode is Destiny 2 gameplay. I'm going to try to do chill stuff in order for me to not be sidetracked for the topic at hand, which will be the Fallout TV show. I think we should go through it episode by episode. So, with my first question, what did you, or like, let's get the starter questions out of the way. Who was your favorite character?
Ooh, it's tough. It's definitely between Lucy or the.
For me,
I liked all the characters.
I loved all the characters, but I still had a favorite, and my favorite was Cooper Howard, aka the Ghoul.
He did a really good job.
Oh my
Especially
god!
the difference between his
Like
his
between
present
him being
and
Cooper
yes.
and him being the Ghoul. Like both of those were fantastic. So, first episode, it starts off, with this party, and someone's in a cowboy outfit that is conveniently the colors of a vault, like the Vault Tech stuff. Although they're not Vault Tech, at least I don't think. And the party goes on as normal. Then the nuke drops, and a lot of them drop.
Yeah, one drops and they're like, "Oh god, do 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 do."
And as the person, as this cowboy is trying to get his daughter out of there, more and more drop, and then title card. There were some things I noticed with that scene, like when the person who I would assume is the host of the party was trying to be like, come on, give us a thumbs up. Isn't that what you're famous for?
Oh yeah.
When he said that, I assume. Well, you get what I mean when I say that, right?
Yeah.
That was something that I caught on, and since he was famous for it, I assumed that the person was a popular actor. At least that's what you would think. You know?
Yeah.
And then we see life in the vault.
Yes.
And this person in the vault is getting Lucy. It's getting her is trying like her future's being decided basically. You know?
Yeah, like it starts off. She applied for the have like a marriage thing. She want to get married, and they do. Her vault is partnered with two other vaults, and they do trades every year. I don't think it's always people, but she wanted to get married to one of them.
Yeah.
And then they accept it, and then the wedding starts, and everybody's having a great time.
But
And then,
but even at the wedding, there are some things that are being noticed.
yeah, they're a bit. It seems like the people of Vault 32 are a bit rough.
A bit
They have
suspicious.
no
They
idea
have
what's
like
going on
tattoos.
over there.
They have
It's just-
scars.
Yeah, mostly like scars. They're dirty.
And then Lucy goes to her room, or like basically her small little apartment in the vault with her new husband, and
Yeah, and
they
he drops
get
his pants
at it.
immediately.
Yeah, no, they get at it.
She's like, okie dokie.
And after like it's over,
That works.
yeah, no, after it's over, we see him, get out of bed. And he's got scars on both sides of him, and it's like, now I'm not saying seeing people with scars isn't weird, but for almost all of these people to have scars, that's a little strange. Especially since these people are vault dwellers and they've supposedly grew up in these vaults,
Yeah, it is very weird for them to have scars and bolts.
Mm-hmm. It's very strange. And very peculiar.
So basically, she's like, "Oh, you're a surface dweller, you bastard!" And then,
they get to fighting
they attack.
immediately.
They fight.
Oh my god.
And somehow
And
I
like
was
she
like,
gets stabbed with a knife.
yeah, I was expecting, the scene where she like grabbed the glass and bashed him on the head.
Yeah.
They were right next to knives that were just on the wall, like kitchen knives. I thought she was gonna grab one of those and like stab him like over his head or something. Bro, he shows up later, or like his face is all messed up.
Yeah, no, I thought that was sick because it shows that they didn't hit the throat.
I know. I was like, when he died, I was like, he didn't. It'd be
Or
way
like
too
in the
cool if
apartment,
he like
like
came back later.
yeah, in the apartment, like or like in her like room, it was like he's not. Like I thought he was dead, right? I was like, wow, that was crazy. And then, like we see him come back and his face is all fucked up.
Yeah.
And
The
that crazy.
general rule of things in media, when you don't see a character die, like actually pass away on screen, they're
There's a
probably
good
still
chance that they
alive.
can come back.
Yeah.
It's just a rule of thumb with media.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, and it's just like, wow.
Wow. Yeah, but then I like all the subplots of the show, the different like the stuff going on in the vault with Lucy's brother
Oh, Norm.
and Vault 32. Yeah, Norm.
But like after like a bunch of people die in her vault, like and like eventually she goes to the entrance of where Vault 32 was, and a bunch of people are there at gunpoint, and her father's there, and her father's given an ultimatum to either save her or the vault dwellers, and he locks her in a room that where she can be safe, and they take him and they leave after setting off a bomb. And, like, all the vault dwellers that were right there, lined up originally at gunpoint, were able to run away and escape.
Yeah, basically just got spared, and then it had some pretty good twists. Like one of the main antagonists, like that was there were a few twists with that.
Oh, yeah. But we don't get to that yet because we're going through this episode by episode, okay?
Exactly.
So we'll get to that later. So after this, like Lucy's just sitting here like, why isn't anybody doing anything about this? And everyone's like, well, why would we go to the surface? And so Lucy's like, fuck this. I'm going and getting my dad back. And so she gets someone who loved her, basically, and then her brother to help her break out. And they were going to go with her, but one, she drugged the guy that was into her, and
Her
then
cousin.
basically, yeah, her cousin.
It was also the gatekeeper of the vault, but she had
Mhm.
like all the control to all the doors, which is why he was so important.
Yep. And her brother was supposed to be watching the elevator, which he kind of failed at. But she leaves. She just leaves. And we see as soon as she steps out that there's skeletons everywhere. Oh my god!
And then they're in GTA 5.
Yeah, because fun fact, this show takes place in California. Not only does it take place in California, Vault 33 is located right in the middle of Los Angeles, right beside Long Island Beach.
Yeah, the area we've traversed so much.
In GTA 5.
GTA.
Yeah, and it was weird seeing, because like I sat there and I was like, that's Long Island Beach. And a family member just went, yep.
I have no idea how many times I've ran over Rip over there.
While I was on a motorcycle.
Yeah, while you're on a motorcycle.
Yeah, no, I immediately thought about like all our random GTA 5 like playthroughs, but like anyway, like it's playing some pretty good music, like she's going through it, and like suddenly we are jumped to another person's perspective, and this person is getting like they are pounding on him, and then a title card shows up, not for the show name, but for the character's name, Maximus. And someone helps him out, and and we find out this is the Brotherhood of Steel. Now, if you're a Fallout fan, like Collin, I'm not. I like the story. I'm not too much into the games. Anyway, as you know, with the Brotherhood of Steel, if you're a Fallout fan, not the best of people, you know. And we get to see a little bit of that. And this is like Maximus's only friend. I forget her name. But for for short terms, I'm going to say Max. I know his name is Maximus, but like a lot of people just call him Max. So we're going to just say Max. Okay?
Alright.
So we see Max go through a lot of stuff, and he's in a classroom for identifying old relics of pre-war, and he misidentifies something, and he gets basically whipped.
And the cleric's like, shut the hell up.
It's like, if you cannot identify this, you are more useful as a corpse.
Yeah.
What's the word? Dramatic much, basically. And so some stuff happens, and he's just going through all of this, and later his friend gets promoted as a squire. You know? Which
basically just carry around the night stuff.
Yeah. You're basically like the knight's bitch. Before you can be a knight, you know?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's like a new thing they added. I don't remember there being squires before.
I think it is as well. Because if it was like a thing previously stated, I think you would have had to be a squire before you can get power armor in New Vegas.
Yeah, most of the Fallout games are just like, you're the leader now.
Basically. And, later, in the bunks, she's screaming and she pulls off her, Maximus helps pull off her boot, and there's razors in her boot. And, her foot's all fucked up. And so they interrogate Maximus because they think he did it. And for a little bit, it's framed as though he did it. We later find out that's not the case. But basically they interrogate him, and he admits that he wants to help the Brotherhood. He is here for the Brotherhood to, one, take revenge on the people who wronged him, and not only that, to better the wasteland. And so now he gets her position. Now he's a squire.
And I just carry around and do stuff.
So he's given a mission, and he goes out to the wasteland. And I believe we now jump to, what was it, Lucy's or the Ghoul's POV? No. We actually, I think we jumped to, was it the dude in
I
the
think it's the
Enclave?
Enclave.
Yeah, it was the
Yeah.
Enclave guy. We jumped to a scientist in the Enclave. Wait, no, that was the second episode. That was the beginning of the second episode. No, it wasn't. You're right. Sorry.
Sorry, I forget the order.
So it's
But I know what happened.
So we see the scientists in the Enclave, and they're they're doing some things I won't state here, but it happened. Animal cruelty. Let's just simply put it.
They were mean to puppies.
Mean to puppies.
I'll avenge them.
I will explode the Enclave. But this one scientist finds a puppy that was going to be, tossed, and he takes it for himself, and I guess he raises it, and this goes on for a while because the dog gets older and older and older,
Yeah.
And eventually, the dog and him create this thing that I don't remember the name of. And he injects it into his neck.
Yeah, it's like a cold fusion chip or something. It's something important to like technology.
Yeah. And eventually he's not able to seal off where the dog was quick enough, and a fellow scientist goes to shove him and pulls a lever, but then the dog runs out and kills that person.
And they're like, oh, time to leave.
Basically.
And then they leave.
Yeah. And then we see Lucy just go through the vault. Or not the vault, but the surface, and eventually runs across this person.
Yeah, and the part is she was like sleeping by a fire like in the middle of the night.
Yeah, no
I
protection, saw that, and he's like
just sitting
this is like a terrible idea. You don't do that. In those vaults, they should have taught you survival skills. Because, you have to think of every outcome, and that would definitely be an outcome.
She likely didn't know about rat roaches.
Obviously not. But, the scientist kills the red roach. It's like, you should go back home, Vault Dweller.
Yeah, Vaultine.
Basically, right? And so, he fucks off. And, she's like, oh, that was creepy. And, she goes through, and, it's like, oh, man, this is fucking creepy. And, just does her thing, I guess. And then we jump to 3 dudes. It's night, and it's there's this person standing guard at a wall, and that person gets a baby leg launched into their abdomen.
Yeah, by a junk jet.
Yep.
I think it was a whole baby doll. Except it was just the legs sticking out.
And it was just they go to this grave. It's like, we need this person to help us, with this bounty. And they go to a grave that has an IV drop looking thing, right?
Yeah, I think it was Rataway.
Is that what ghouls need to not go?
Yeah. I think so.
So it was Rataway, and then they go, and one of the dudes go, "It's a mutant." It's like, show some respect. And so they dig him out, and he rolls out, and yeah, he's a ghoul. And then they try to convince him, where it's like, if we do this, it could be one last score for us all. And then the ghoul goes, see, when people say it's the last score, it means their heart's not really in the game.
Yeah, and also there's a chicken.
Yeah, there's a chicken on the ground.
And they're like, if he's feral, he'll go after the chicken. And he picks up the chicken and it scares him.
Yeah.
And then he pets it. And then he sets it down and kills it. and then
Yeah, no,
just
he kills them.
walks away,
Yeah, he
leaving the
kills
chick.
all three of them. And yeah, he just walks away. And it's inferred that, or you can, if you are picking up on details while watching, you can see that the ghoul is the man that we saw at the beginning riding on a horse.
Indeed.
And like the music that plays every time he's on scene is so cool.
Yeah, it's kind of creepy. It's like it kind of it reminded me of something like a Boba Fett's theme, like from the
Yes.
show.
It's got like that. It's kind of it's a western kind of thing, right?
Yeah,
Which makes
definitely
sense
fits into he's like a
because
cowboy.
we later find out he not only was a bit of a cowboy himself, but was an actor in like western movies.
Yeah.
And like, where does episode 1 end off?
Shoot. I don't know where it all kind of merges.
That's what I'm saying. But I think we're done with episode 1.
Yeah.
And like, I gotta ask, what was your thoughts on the first episode?
Okay, yeah, first episode was a really strong start. Because that's when I was going in like, oh, this is gonna be
Like,
another disappointing
is this gonna be The Last of Us? Is
adaptation.
this gonna be like The Last of Us, or is this gonna be like the Halo TV show?
Yeah.
And I can confidently
Yeah.
say it was like The Last of Us. Um, and I gotta say, for me, like that first episode immediately came in swinging. Like, all of my family like took like a, I guess like a bathroom break for a second, like take a second to like get ready to watch that second episode because like, oh my god, like immediately
Yeah.
hooked. Everybody in my house was hooked right then and there. Um, so the second episode, I'm trying to remember where that starts off.
We'll just keep going in
I think it's
order.
I think it starts off with a scene from the past, actually. You know,
Yeah,
on
like
the
you.
set piece. Yeah, on the set, right for the cowboy movie we were just talking about.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want to shoot a scene because he says it doesn't fit his character. And then the director goes,
Oh yeah.
I have to, like, it's what I'm trying to show is that even good men do bad things, you know, and whatnot. And don't worry, that actually becomes prevalent later. Um, and so, like, she walks. I mean, not she. He walks out of the set after shooting, and he sees his wife. That we find out, and they talk for a bit. You know, we see his daughter, and not only that, but he's given something, and it cuts title card. You know, Fallout TV show. If I'm remembering that correctly. I am probably not. I'm going to say scenes out of order because I don't remember the order. I know we see this Maximus and Knight Titus on the what are the helicopters called? Vertibirds?
Vertibird. Yeah.
Okay, I remembered it. And Max is trying to talk, like start up a conversation with Titus. And Titus rips off his codpiece and throws it over to Max and tells him to clean it. And then we are thrown into the position of the Enclave scientist. And he's walking by a cave. with his dog, and his dog, I think, starts to growl at the cave, and we see like a radiation warning sign at it, and we hear a growl from inside the caves. What was the
It
scene after
meaning they
that?
get whooped on. Scene after Titus gets whooped upon.
Oh no, this was the scientist. I'm talking about that because after the
Oh
scientist was
yeah, the scientist goes there, and then he ends up like taking off his coat and dropping some stuff, and his dog runs into the cave, and then they get away, and then
it cuts
Titus
to
and
Titus
Max
and
show up.
Max showing up there, and they see it, and they go inside the cave, and the squire is Max is made to go first because it's like if you want to wear this armor, you need to show bravery. This is a thing of bravery, and he goes in, and he turns around because he hears a growl, and it's what are they called? It starts like with an M, like the radiated bears.
Yaguais.
Yeah, Yaguais. And Lord Knight Titus turns around and he goes, "Oh fuck!" And like
Yeah,
immediately
he starts running.
he goes to shoot, and like gun gets broken, and immediately he goes to run, and you see Max looking at this, and he goes, "What the fuck?"
Yeah. At first, I was really not liking Maximus all that much because simply how he was reacting to everything was like nothing. He didn't have much of a reaction at all to something. Like it's like okay,
Yeah.
okay, yeah,
Well, I was a little annoyed with him because like he was watching Titus get fucking eaten basically, and like he does nothing, and he doesn't shoot him until like much
yeah. Like
later.
even at the start, and then he was like, oh Titus, you were rude to me. I
Well,
mean,
no, it was Titus.
Titus
Titus
was a
was
rude bastard like the whole time,
Titus
but
was rude, and I will say like he then goes on a whole spiel about how like oh they're gonna hang you up for this, like that's what they do to bad squires, and immediately that just makes Max go. It's like that immediately stops him from
yeah, not Stimpack and
yep,
Titus.
and watching him die. And then he takes the armor. And
Yeah,
we see him go about a scene where he's like messing around in power armor because he's just been given power. And then he breaks a house. And then he hears
went on a
like
power trip
cries
basically.
yeah. And he hears cries for help, which I will let you explain this scene.
All right, so he sees people. Well, you mean the one that they're fighting, and then he grabs onto the dude's hair. He's like, oh God, oh, please,
Yeah, that.
don't kill me, uh.
And
And then he
dude
lets go of
like
him,
yep.
and then he's like, oh, where the other guy's like, oh, thank you, aha. And then he gets away,
Toodaloo!
and then, yeah, for now, like he shows up a bunch, and then he's like, oh, man, you had my head really tight, yeah, I was only fighting that dude. He was,
He was
effing
fucking
my
my
chickens.
chickens.
Yeah.
And you could see
And
Maximus's
Maximus
face,
is just like, has like the most disappointed face of all time.
like disgusted. It's just like, right. And Lucy. Oh yeah, Lucy isn't. I think we go to Lucy now, right? Where she finds a house.
Oh yeah, she passes that one dude in the desert that's wearing like underwear looking stuff.
Like a diaper.
Yeah, he's wearing like a diaper thing.
And he drank all of her
He tries to
water.
riz her up.
Yeah. And she finds out she needs to go to Philly, so she does. And looking around, and she finds a place with Vault Tech stuff in it, and she goes in, I was like, I see you have this. That must mean you are a criminal. So I need help finding a criminal. And then that
Oh yeah,
person
you get all
sits
this
there. It's
clothes.
like,
Probably you work with criminals, don't you?
yeah, no, because I was sitting there like, oh my god.
Like, it was definitely not the way to talk to criminals.
Like, I know they got movies in those vaults. I know they got movies in those vaults. You should know how to, to talk to criminals. I've never talked to a criminal, but if I needed something done, I would know how to do it. And be like, well, I see you have all these things, so that must mean you are a criminal. Like, I'm not going to do that.
Solve them.
I'm the problem solver. Anyway, finds out the person, once Lucy says the name of the person who captured her dad, which is Moldaver. This old lady's face immediately goes from laughing to serious. It's like, leave, get the fuck out.
Yeah.
And then Mr. Mans with his dog rolls up, Mr. Enclave, because that's what we're going to call him for now, Mr. Enclave. He rolls up and goes in there, right? And
Indeed.
we see, by the way, I forgot to mention that while we see Lucy going through Philly, we can see the ghoul, sitting at a table and whatnot. And they're about to go inside, and the ghoul shows up, or stands up, And,
Yeah.
And then the old lady is like, ghouls aren't allowed in this place. And basically, a whole gunfight starts, which starts with the ghoul shooting off Mr. Enclave's leg.
It blows the bottom part,
Mhm.
half of his shin down.
Just gone. And a whole gunfight starts. And the lady goes, 1,000 caps to whoever can kill him. But you don't get it if I kill him first. So the whole town goes after him.
Then
they all
she's
die.
freaking out.
Yeah, she's freaking out. She brings him in there.
Putting chopping off the rest of his thing.
Nope, not yet. Then, right when he's about to go towards her, or he stands in the way, or she stands in the way of the ghoul, and he's about to shoot her. Then, quote unquote, Lord Knight Titus, actually Maximus shows up in the power armor, and stops it, and Maximus tells Lucy to watch him while he fights the ghoul. So the old lady goes in, and they use a device that chops up the rest of his leg, that part of the leg, to put on a prosthetic. And now the lady is entrusting Lucy to bring this man to Moldaver. And so they sneak off. Lord Knight, Maximus is fighting the ghoul, and eventually Maximus gets stuck in a platform because he doesn't realize the weight of power armor yet. And it's mentioned that the ghoul fought in the pre-war, so he used power armor, so he knew how to stop the armor from working.
Specifically, he was a Marine in in Anchorage.
Yep, in Anchorage.
It was a Battle of Anchorage, and he was wearing T-45.
Mm-hmm. And he stops him from, basically just stops Maximus from doing anything, and then he goes along his way. And but before he goes along his way, he shot the dog, right? But he sees that the dog is still alive, so he goes to heal it. He uses a stim pack and whatnot, and he patches the dog up, so that way he can use the dog to track down Lucy and Mr. Enclave. But it shows Mr. Enclave and Lucy in the desert, and he starts to collapse. He's like, I'm not going to make it. I need you You can't drag me throughout the wasteland. It's not going to be possible. But you can, you could carry my head, right? And he took a cyanide pill, right? Um, and
Because
so
she's trying to talk him out of it, and then he's like, too late.
yeah. Um, and so he starts to die. He dies, and Lucy takes his head because it's the only way she's only going to be able to get her father. Um, and that's where the episode ends. And I gotta ask, what did you think of the second episode?
It was good. I liked it, especially all the Yagua and Power Armor stuff.
Oh yeah.
Even though I'm not that big of a fan of the Brotherhood, I've never done the in and I've sided with them in Fallout 4, and done some quests for them in Fallout New Vegas and 3, but I've not like fully sided.
I quite loved it. It was another. It was during the same watch party because I had 3 watch parties, or there's 3 watch parties with my family. I did not attend the last one because of personal matters. Colin, I did tell you about that, so we're not going to get into those matters. But for the second episode, I was like, that's a good end to the watch party, and I cannot wait to watch the third episode because the second episode was great. It left me craving more. Same with the first episode. And there's a lot of stuff I loved about it. I think once again my I think my favorite scene was the fight in Philly. Where the ghoul is
Yeah,
like just
it was such a
fighting everybody.
the fight on the show is choreographed very well.
Mm-hmm. Oh my god, it was peak. I just realized we've been talking about this for 37 minutes and we're only now getting to the third episode.
Yeah.
I think we should like speed it up a bit.
Yeah, we'll summarize. Just do a
So
quick
the third
summary.
episode. I'm trying to remember exactly what happened in the third episode because like I watched episodes 3 through 6 all in one sitting, so like it all is a little merged in my head. I know what was in episode 6 and whatnot, but I'm trying to. So I know in episode 3, he goes to get something to fix the power armor. He gets in a really bad fight, almost dies, but then like crushes the head of someone like it was nothing.
Oh yeah.
And I was waiting for that to happen because they kept basically teasing it since the power armor, like with someone with the power armor, right? And they've been teasing that, and then they did it. It was so good.
I know when that happened, I was like, "Oh, jeez."
It was so gory. I was like, "Oh," because it was so good. It was so juicy.
Yeah, Fallout show is really gory. It's like, oh, and that one scene later in the show, I was like, oh.
Wait, what scene?
Remember in Vault 4?
Oh, we'll get there in a second.
Yeah, I'll get there later.
Yeah, the Vault 4 scene. Oh my god. It was literally just like, whoa, but we aren't there yet. So they go through this. Eventually, she screws up, and what are they called? Because they gotta be in just mainline Fallout, right? What was that creature that took the head?
Oh, it's a new one, but it's based off the Gulpers. It's like an axolotl version of the Gulpers.
It's like an axolotl.
Which are like mutated.
It's like
it's like
mutated with a human.
Axolotl. Yeah, it is. Because if you notice all the fingers in its mouth.
Yeah, I did notice all the fingers in its mouth. And like all the fins are also made out of other human body parts.
Yeah.
And like it takes the head, and the ghoul shows up and tries to use Lucy as bait. It doesn't work, and like something happens and all of his Radaway vials get broken. And it's like she's like, oh, the golden rule, do unto others how you would do unto yourself. And then he goes, here's the golden rule of the wasteland. What was the rule? I forget how he exactly said it.
I don't even know yet.
It was like, thou shalt not be plagued by unnecessary bullshit. Or something like that.
It was essentially that.
Yeah, it's something like that. And he's basically dragging her through the place on a chain. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, Maximus calls in and basically acts as Titus and goes, "My squire died. I am on the hunt for the bounty. I'm tracking him down. I have his location basically." And so they send a squire and he freaks out and breaks the comms. And they send a squire, which just so happened to be one of the people who were beating him up a lot, and also the person who handed him the bounty page before he left on the vertibird. Anyway, we'll get to that later, because they track down where the body was. I forgot to mention the ghoul did that as well. Anyway, so the ghoul and Lucy go through the wasteland, right? And he's dragging her about, and like she's missing a boot. And I'm just gonna be honest, if I was her, I would have taken the other one off, because like it would have been a lot worse. It's gonna be a lot worse walking with only one on than none on, right?
Yeah.
It's either you have none on or you have both on. I'm not doing one. So, at one point she drinks really irradiated water, which I'm pretty sure was actually piss.
Yeah.
And
probably referencing you could drink toilets and
yeah. And like this only happened because she was like dying of thirst, and he drank all the water. And like she's still not getting it, which I'm shocked about, right? And she tries to get away at one point and sees like a crater. And like awestruck until like she gets lassoed and pulled back, and she bites his finger off, and then in return he cuts her finger off.
Yeah, which at first was like, what the? Just cut off the main character's finger.
Yeah. Later she gets it back, but like
technically a different one.
Yeah. They go through and they meet up with another ghoul who I guess he was going to get vials, but he was going feral. So Mr. Howard straight up just shot him. Blowed his
poor feller out of
his
misery.
Because he was going feral. Is it too late to save them once they start doing that thing where they're repeating their name? Like, if they take Rat away, could they be saved?
From that stage, I'm not sure, because they didn't even try it with any of the ones that were, like, in the cells.
Yeah. I remember because they said feral.
Yeah.
But anyway, he goes to a supermarket and sends Lucy in, and a Mr. Codsworth helps attend to her and reattaches a finger, and it's like, I thought like I was being sent in here to be a sex slave. It's like, a sex slave? No! Goodness no! You'll be harvested for your organs!
I'm simply going to harvest your organs.
And then knocks her out, basically. And she wakes up. Or actually, the squire and Maximus find the axolotl thing, and they they, what do you call it? They fight it, and they kill it, and they get the head back, and they celebrate. Lucy breaks out, after destroying or like kind of breaking. What was his name? Snip.
Oh yeah.
And like is gonna kill him, and she's like, "You're gonna release all these ghouls. You're gonna release all these people," and they do.
Oh yeah. That that dude on the couch. I
Yeah, I
met
know
him.
him. Yeah, I know. I
You seen
almost
the
told that to
picture of
my
me and
family.
him?
But you met that actor actually.
Yeah, I seen him. I seen him. He's like, yeah, he's my father. So good.
Basically, um, and they release the feral ghouls, and immediately both of those junkies get killed, and she takes them out, and then the old lady, fully goes feral, and Lucy has to shoot her. And Lucy takes a box full of, or like takes a bunch of the rat away, and just and it's like, so if you don't get this, then you'll end up like that, and then like he kind of like nods and gives it to him and goes, she just goes, "Golden rule, motherfucker," and walks off. Which is where she finally, I think, got the gist of, well, mostly got the gist of how she needed to roll about this,
Yeah, I like the character building she has, where she goes from
Yes.
being like incredibly gullible and then
Hmm.
naive to like actually being versed in Wasteland.
Yeah, while also still trying to do the best thing possible.
Yeah, like a lot of old dwellers.
Hmm. And there's
Like
also
the
a
ones
lot
we
we haven't mentioned, like with Norm. Um, but I think that's in later episodes. Uh, I don't remember. At some point, Maximus reveals that he's Maximus and not Lord Knight Titus, and there's a fight that goes on. Um, Maximus stomps on what was his name's head? It started with a T. The other guy.
uh Theo, wasn't it like Theo something?
Yeah, Theo. But he stomps on Theo's foot, like, just completely smush. And, like, Theo takes out the power core, so Maximus is locked in the suit. Um, anyway. I know Mr. Cooper crawls in, or basically stumbles into the thing, and, like, sees all, like, starts taking all the medicine and puts it in his hat, and he sees a tape on the table, and he sees it's a movie that he played in. So he puts it in, and it's that scene we were talking about that he was shooting earlier, and I think it's what he needed to realize what he was doing. It's something like he
Yeah.
needed to see. And the episode ends there. I know the what was it, fourth episode starts. I think it like Lucy finds Maximus, or Maximus is there, and like Lucy finds him and shoots all the rad roaches off. She lets him out. After talking to him for a bit, she passes out. He saves her with Radaway. And they decide like we're both after this head. Let's go after it, right? Um, and so they do so, but like they meet cannibals, and what's his name shoots the cannibals. Uh, but he also gets shot. Maximus gets shot.
Yeah.
And they're going through and they find a hospital, and when they go to where the medical supplies are, they get dropped into a vault. Anyway, we're skipping over a lot of other stuff, like, for example, the ghoul gets captured at one point by the people running this organ thing, and they transfer him to their base of operations. But anyway, 6th episode. Fifth episode has a lot of like things from the past, like we see him shoot an ad for Vault Tech. Episode 6 is also a lot of the past. Like we see him have dinner with his family discussing how dogs aren't allowed in the vault, like him like really just torn about this stuff. He shoots an ad for Vault Tech. I think 3rd episode also had him shooting like promotional images. Episode 6 had him shooting the ad for Vault Tech, and we see the scientist of Vault 4. And we see a bunch of stuff in the past about how someone he was shooting with back then is now, or like the director for a movie he was on was fired because commie. Well, actually, that was in the 2nd episode. But a friend of his, who's an actor who he fought in the war with, is apparently now a communist. He has a house party with a bunch of people who are some from Vault-Tec and a bunch of actors and whatnot. And one of those actors is the voice of Codsworth. And they talk to each other about the Vault-Tec thing. And later he goes and visits his friend, and he's invited to go to one of these quote-unquote communist meetings, right? Anyway, we jump to scenes in Vault 4, and it turns out a lot of these people are mutated. Like, the Overseer has one eye. There's a dude with a nose on his forehead. Like, there's a bunch of crazy shit.
That was a fun.
There was, I'm trying to remember. At some point, Titus or Maximus goes to a room where he was actually about to steal their power core. But they go to a room where there's a gift basket, and he takes an actual shower for the first time ever in his life, I think.
Yeah, he was like, what is a cold, or what's a hot shower?
What is a hot shower? So he takes it and like gets to live the vault life and enjoys himself. Lucy finds a room where she finds out after speaking to the Overseer that a lot of the people here are from Shady. What was it? Sandy. What was the name of it? Shady Sands, right?
Yeah,
that was it. And she goes to her room, and all of these people are walking past, and she's invited to do this thing that they do every day or every week. And it's to remember the fallen. And, like, ash, apparently the thing that everyone's rubbing on their face is the ash of the people who died. Which, by the way, is bonkers. And then everyone starts stripping naked!
And that's when I was like,
basically.
Interesting.
And some people start pouring blood on themselves. And they start, like, raising flags of Moldaver. And, like, that's a little concerning. There was also a thing with the ghoul where he killed, like, the people who captured him besides the dude running it, and he sees a wanted poster with Moldaver, right? And he goes, that's because it's like, who is this? And it's like, and the dude goes, it's Moldaver. It's like, and the ghoul goes, that's not what I remember her name as. Anyway, we jump back to Lucy, and she decides to investigate the floor that she was told not to go on, level 12, and it's all kinds of fucked up. She sees a videotape and whatnot, and it's just like and she gets captured, and that's the end of the episode. Episode 7. How'd that start off again?
Ooh.
It started off with
I'm sure I know the
him at
events in
that.
order.
It was the NCR armor. The people in the NCR armor, like scavenging metal.
They're scavenging for bullets and stuff.
And they go home, and the ghoul's there. And turns out that, you know, the child of, or the oldest, the son of this man is dealing with Moldaver. And he gets that information out of them, are like where they are located. And because the eldest son was killed by the ghoul, the younger son goes to try to kill the ghoul, but the ghoul shoots him, and he leaves. Anyway, we jump to Lucy in the vault, and she's captured, and she's shown a tape as to why all those people are there. You know, the history. And it's like, oh, it's because the people who originally were in this vault were fucking crazy. You know?
Yeah.
And so that gets solved. And they're going to, like, well, you can't go unpunished. You infected this place with violence. And they go to let her out, but Titus or Maximus saw all this go down, or saw them drag her away, and so he goes to steal their power core, and he does, and starts storming there with his power armor. And also, but while this is happening, it turns out they're not going to kill Lucy. They're just telling her that they gave her supplies, and they're like, "You're getting out of this vault, never to return." You know?
Yeah, basically, like, when it looked like they were about to kill her, they're like, "You are banished. Go back outside."
Yeah. It's like, oh, okay. And then a song starts playing as Maximus enters the room. And Collin, I hope you recognized the song from another game we played. Do I need to tell you the game?
Oh, sure.
Far Cry 5.
Oh, yeah. Only You.
Yeah. Only You starts playing.
I was like, oh, let's go.
And Maximus is like ripping through these people. I don't think he kills anybody, but he's throwing them around.
Like just punching them into stuff unnecessary.
Yeah. And then Lucy's like, no, stop. They're not killing me. They're just banishing me, you know. So they leave, but like Lucy convinces Maximus, is like, we gotta give them back that power core. They're not gonna be able to survive without it. And so he unwillingly does it, but like he does it for her. And they go back and drop the power core there. You know, you hear them go, thank you!
Okay.
And Maximus finally reveals that he is not Lord Knight Titus. He is actually Maximus. And they, you know, she's fine with it, you know. And they go off to keep going on this journey. Did anything else happen that episode? Oh, yeah. There was a bit of spying from Mr. Howard on his wife. Like, he thinks... There was the meeting. He went to the meeting in episode 7.
Oh, yeah.
And he met... Who was... Can you guess it? Moldaver in the pre-war! I forgot to mention, like, most people from the pre-war all look like ghouls. She did not look like a ghoul.
All the people that survived are ghouls.
All the people who survived are ghouls, but yet she is not. So that's where it's like, what the fuck? You know?
Yeah.
And anyway, he goes to this meeting and eventually is convinced to connect a radio, like a listening device, to his wife's Pip-Boy, and he does just that after something happens, and he goes, "This is stupid. I'm not going to do this." But it's late at night, and he's watching on the TV, and that ad plays, and then he's pissed off and he goes outside, digging through the trash can, and he goes, "No dogs allowed in the vault, eh?" And he cuts it open, or he cuts open the bag and gets the listening device. Um, where does this episode end again? The 7th episode.
It reveals basically Vault-Tec bombs. I think that's where that ends.
No, it doesn't. That Epica's.
Or was that the one, or that's the next episode where they're
That's the
all at
next episode. That's
big
the next
meeting?
episode.
Okay.
Because episode 8, it starts with Mr. T. We're gonna call him because I forgot his name, Theo or something.
Yeah.
Theo is with the dog. He locks the dog in the Nuka-Cola thing. And he goes to a radio station, with the head, and I forget if something happens with. What happens in between that? I think. Oh yeah, it's him driving his wife to work. It's Mr. Howard driving his wife to work, and he sets up the listening device, right? And he's sitting there, and it's like, I'm gonna have to get closer for this to fully work. So he has to go inside, you know?
Yeah.
And then it cuts to him as the ghoul going to the exact location and where Theo was and finding the dog, and then they start going, right?
Yeah.
And I'm trying to remember this how it goes. They're walking around. It's revealed that Theo have contacted the Brotherhood, and then Maximus and Lucy show up, and I think a confrontation's about to go down. But then Theo... Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, Theo got his foot patched up somehow. They come across the Miracle Man, and he has Theo, like, drink something or something, or, like, consume something. And all of a sudden his foot's, like, magically fucking healed.
Yeah, it's because he turned into a ghoul.
Well, that's revealed when he goes to step towards towards Maximus and Lucy, and he gets shot in the neck with an arrow. And he goes,
like, "How are you alive?
How are you alive?" It's like, I'm not dead. I'm gonna pull it out. And they go, "That's not a good idea." And he pulls it out, and it regenerates. And they go, "Theo, you're a ghoul." And he goes, "Oh, fuck."
Yeah, because you remember what he said earlier in the episode?
Or in the show about ghouls.
Or where he's like, "Man, ghouls suck. We're gonna wipe them all out." It's basically what he said.
Mm-hmm. And the vertebrates show up, and Maximus convinces Theo to give him the head, and they get the head, and he gives Lucy the head because Maximus is going to go and deal with the Brotherhood. And Lucy goes off to where their headquarters is because she has the location. And she gets there.
Yeah.
But before she gets there, we see Maximus basically, he's about to get fucking killed by the Brotherhood for bringing back the wrong head. But his friend convinced them not to, right?
Yes.
And it's like, well, you see, Maximus, you and I are going to build a new empire together. And so the Brotherhood still get ready to, they're arming up to go to where Moldaver is. And when they get there, turns out that Moldaver isn't just just random fucking raider. She's the head of the NCR. And they find her dad in a cage, and Moldaver reveals everything about her dad. And while this was, and I think we forgot to mention that Norm went to Vault 32 with Gatekeeper Boy, and everyone was dead. And there was stuff like, we know what's in Vault 31. And they're trying to get through Vault 31. And they go back and whatnot after the new Overseer Betty, is taking control of things. Also, there's a bunch of raiders that were still alive from the raid on their vault. At some point, they're poisoned and dead. And when that happens, actually, everyone is now being relocated because there's now a pioneer thing going on to Vault 32. And they also find out that a lot of the people, some of the people from Vault 30 that are in the Vault 33 are actually from Vault 31, and they can't trust those people now. And it turns out that one of the people that they can't trust is now the Overseer of Vault 32, and also Betty's a Overseer of Vault 33. Anyway, all that happens, and Norm gets into Vault 31 at the end of episode 7. I forgot to mention that part. After doing some conniving things. But he goes through it, finds a brain in a jar on a Roomba.
Basically, yeah.
And he finds out that his dad was here, like in a cryotube. Basically, it's revealed that his dad, Hank McClane, is a horrible person, and he's actually from the pre-war. I think at some point we jump to Mr. Cooper Howard, and he's spying on his wife in Hank's office, right?
Yeah.
And he hears like all of the Vault Tech's fucked up plans with every vault, and he's just like sitting there like fucking like what the hell. And then we see Mr. Hank McClane walk into his office, and it's just sitting there. It's like a what the fuck kind of moment, right? And then Lucy finds out everything, and it turns out that those memories she had of like feeling the sun on her skin, that actually was the sun, because her mom took her and Norm out to the surface and to the head of the NCR. And Hank took Lucy and Norm and bombed Shady Sands. He's the reason why that it was reduced to a crater. And it killed a lot of people, and it's revealed that the feral ghoul in the room is her mom.
Yeah.
And like it goes from Moldaver wasn't the villain. It was her dad. And all of a sudden the Brotherhood show up, and she's just sitting there, and like Hank's like trying to convince her to let her out. But they get the cold fusion and put it in, but they didn't activate it yet when the Brotherhood showed up. And finally Brotherhood show up. They fight their way through, and it's just really sad because the NCR are the good guys in this fight,
Yeah.
Brotherhood are objectively not the people we should be rooting for. But Maximus finally gets to the room. Oh yeah, before he gets to the room, the ghoul takes out everybody in power armor. Like it was nothing. And it was so cool. And Maximus gets in the room with Lucy, and he releases her dad, and like she tries to tell him why. It's like, he's the reason why Shady Sands blew up. He's the reason. And they go to fight him, but he knocks out Maximus, and Lucy is standing there at gunpoint to her dad, and then he's shot, not by her, but by the ghoul. And he says a line from one of his movies, while in the doorway, and he walks in and he goes, "Where's my family, you son of a bitch?" Well, actually, he says, "Where's my fucking family, you son of a bitch?" Um, and he runs off like a little bitch. Hank does, and they go off right to stop her dad. But Maximus regains consciousness after they left. Moldaver comes in and she's been shot. Oh yeah, before they left, Lucy put her mom out of her misery. But
Yep.
they go off, and Maximus, wakes up, and Moldaver activates the thing. All the lights turn on in California. What the fuck? That's cool. And like she bleeds out and dies. And then everyone runs in. It's like Maximus killed the leader of the NCR. You all hail Lord Knight Maximus. Yippee! And then it plays We Three by the Ink Spots as we see the dog, the Enclave dog, the ghoul, and Lucy walking through, through California, now all lit up. My shadow. Oh, it was so good. It was so good. I want more! Also, I'm pretty sure Hank was at what looked like I would have to rewatch it, but wasn't that the New Vegas Strip?
Yeah.
Okay. There's so much that's going to happen in season 2, and I cannot wait.
I wonder what canon ending they're picking, or if they're just going to make it as big as possible.
From the looks of the NCR being as big as it was before before Hank stepped in, that it was the NCR.
Yeah, it looks like that would make sense. It's either NCR or the house. I think the house ending also would make sense. Definitely wouldn't be as much as I like it as the ending that I got. The ending where you just take over with Yes Man instead. Yeah. That's my favorite one, but I suppose I could agree.
But like, I'm shocked. I'm a little sad we didn't see a Deathclaw the entire time.
Didn't see a Deathclaw skull.
Yeah, but that's it. There's so much that could happen with season 2.
Because New Vegas has a lot of Deathclaws.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot that I am excited for. And I loved it to death, and I'm probably going to rewatch it at some point soon, even just fully process all of it.
That's what I was good about doing.
It was good. I'd give it, honestly, like an 8 or 9 out of 10.
Definitely give it a
9. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, a solid 9. Like,
I went in with low expectations.
Same. Like, with video game adaptations, you have to walk in with low expectations. That's to not be disappointed.
Yeah.
And I walked in thinking, like, this isn't going to be that good. And it was fantastic. It was phenomenal.
Pleasantly surprised.
It's crazy, our longest episode in a while is us talking about the entirety of the Fallout TV show.
Yeah, I'm surprised because you normally don't. I know you like Fallout, but you normally don't mess around with the two.
I don't know if I've told you this. I love the story to Fallout. I love it to death. But like, when it comes to playing those games, I don't really feel engaged, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But like the story, I love. I love the story of Fallout. And this was the best way for me to consume it for now. And honestly, it's inspired me to play the games. I actually installed New Vegas the other day to play.
You should. Actually, all of the Fallout games are like jumping up in popularity, like really high. Fallout 4 and 76. New Vegas has already been popular.
This is how, like a good adaptation, like this is what brings people back to stuff. Like Cyberpunk, the show, brought people back to the game. And this is going to bring people back to Fallout. And it makes me more upset because it's like the Halo show could have been so much more. But don't worry, our Halo show, the final season, is releasing on the 7th. Anyway, with that being said, all of that being said, thank you all so much for watching this episode. If you like what you heard, let us know in the comment section below. Man, that was a lot, but I loved it every second, right?
What?
So thank you all so much for listening to Collin and I talk about the Fallout TV show in its entirety. And I know there's things we missed, but this is only after there's a lot we missed, but this is just after like one watch through, and that watch through definitely was not today for either of us. So forgive us. Let us know what you think of it down below, and if you stayed this long, you're a trooper. But with that being said, thank you all so much for listening. We will talk to you next time. Goodbye, everyone.